What's going on, guys? JP back at you once again, bringing you guys day number 4 in my 11th annual 31 Days of Horror, a series in which we watch and review 31 horror films in 31 days, all during the month of October, leading right up to Halloween. And continuing along, I decided to check out a movie I haven't seen in a very, very long time. And that film is Buried Alive from the year 1990. This was a TV film directed by Frank Darabont. Of course, we know Frank Darabont from, horror fans know him from The Mist, as well as The Shawshank Redemption and The Green Mile, which are two Stephen King films that are amazing, not horror, but amazing. But The Mist is the horror film that I remember him from. He also had, I believe, some writing credits on some horror flicks beforehand, but I forget what they are. The film stars Jennifer Jason Leigh. There is the actor Hoyt Axton, who is the dad in Gremlins. He plays the sheriff in this film, which is really, really cool. So this film basically follows a husband and wife played by Jennifer Jason Leigh. And, you know, they're pretty well off. They're doing good and stuff. They're trying to get pregnant, and little do we know, the wife is actually having an affair with a doctor from the town. And they conspire to kill the husband, and with poison from, I believe, a deadly fish. I want to say it's like maybe it's a puffer fish or something. I don't remember exactly, but they essentially try to kill him, but it doesn't quite work, and he ends up being buried alive. But he ends up getting out of the grave and looks to seek revenge. Meanwhile, you have the sheriff, who was really good friends with the lead, and he's sort of investigating. He feels like something might be fishy with the whole thing. This movie, first of all, I had seen this movie and the sequel a bunch growing up. It was made for the USA Network, and I had always liked it, but I really didn't remember it. There were like just a few scenes that I remembered when revisiting it, like when he's digging out of the coffin and stuff like that. But the thing about like those movies, a lot of the TV movies back then, I just never revisited in my adult life, so I hadn't seen it since it probably aired on TV on the USA Network in, you know, the mid to late 90s, on, you know, reruns and stuff. I loved the USA channel and, you know, TNT and the channels that was sci-fi, all those channels in the 90s and early 2000s. They still showed a lot of like good TV movies and just horror films in general. But anyway, the movie itself is a little bit unrealistic. You know, there's a lot of suspension of disbelief. Like, first of all, any type of thing you've ever looked up about actually being buried alive, whether it's Mythbusters or that one magician who attempted it and died, like, you pretty much can't live under that much dirt in really any way, and you definitely can't dig your way out of it. For some reason, it didn't seem like he was buried that deep in this either. Not to mention the fact that they kind of skipped the embalming, and also they put him in like a really cheap casket, and to like save time. I'm sure that the wife influences that, obviously, Jennifer Jason Leigh. But it's a little unrealistic. But you know, it's one of those things. It's a fantastical idea. You just suspend your disbelief and go with it, or you don't. If you don't, there's no point to watch this movie. If you're like, okay, that's fine, whatever, then it's actually a pretty entertaining movie, and I really enjoyed it. I think this movie is really cool, and also the whole like being buried alive is really damn freaky. Even if it's not really possible like that, it's still scary as hell, and that's sort of gets under your skin I think most people have that fear, so that's definitely a plus. The other thing I will say is like, so she's cheating on him with a doctor, and their whole plot to kill him is like to sell his business and house and everything and get a bunch of money, probably life insurance too. But it's like, you're a doctor, like you should be doing pretty good, like you know what I mean? Like they should have made it like something less, you know, successful, like a construction worker or something, you know. But I love, you know, the gold diggers and people getting their comeuppance and stuff. This is very Tales from the Crypt, very of the time. You don't really see a lot of stories like that now. I think that people kind of think of them as like played out and a little cliche, so that's why you don't really get those stories, but they were plentiful in the 90s. So anyway, yeah, that is Buried Alive. Pretty solid movie. I definitely enjoyed it. I give it a 7 out of 10. Solid 7 out of 10.